And can you tell us if there was any asbestos in that building that came down, if there's a reason why we're being pushed back?
Yeah, no, the only reason we're pushed back is just because of those walls falling out. You would be surprised at how far the bricks can fly when those walls collapse, so it's just really more for safety.
Now we know that the North Spring Auto is one of the businesses that got hurt. I believe that you guys actually went to that auto shop a couple different times, or at least some of the trucks have been serviced. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, well, as far as us using them for service, yeah, I don't know anything about that as far as what our machine shop does. But I can tell you 4 structures were involved outside of, that we have documented outside of the warehouse itself. And that 11 North Morton, which I believe was part of the Northside Spring, was one that was a total loss. Then we did have 2 other addresses on Division Street and then another address on Franklin Street that were damaged due to this fire.
And I know that you guys are obviously still actively fighting those hot spots. Do you have a timetable of when that possibly could be fully out?
Absolutely not. No, there's no way to tell with the amount of debris that the hot spots are buried under. We actually have pulled some of our crews back because we weren't able to get to those. We do still have crews out here on scene tonight that will be monitoring all those hot spots and hitting them as they flare up.
And do you know if they've begun investigating possibly the cause of this fire yet?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, basically it starts from the investigation starts from when we're dispatched. But to say how far along we are, that's going to really start getting going tomorrow.
Gotcha.
And this was a large fire. Where does this compare to previous fires you have seen in Evansville?
In my career, probably 3 or 4 that were potentially close to this size. I would say the unique part of this fire is due to how close it was to other addresses and that could affect them. Other large fires that I had experienced in my career were mostly freestanding, large buildings. So.
And in terms of duration, will this be longer and regarding the hot spots and smoldering?
Boy, that's hard to speculate on that. I don't really know. It would seem pretty typical that the hot spots would be pretty normal as far as the size of this building.
Do you believe the fire is contained to its current area where it's going to stay, or do you believe there's a possibility that it could spread a little bit further than it is right now?
You know, really my only fear for it spreading would be if we get those high winds again, if it would blow, any embers or anything like that around, that would potentially do something. But I, as far as concern from it going anywhere, no, it's 100% contained.
Well, as you mentioned, we just heard
So.
Randy, I'll send it back to you guys.
Anything else?
Does any specific fire stand out to you in your career here in Evansville? Anything specifically?
Like as far as of this size? Yeah. Oh gosh, probably 25 years ago, maybe even longer. There was a food warehouse on the north side, Roundy's, which was pretty massive. It was mostly freestanding, so it wasn't quite as complex as this one is.
What makes this one more complex?
Just because it's close proximity to the other buildings and addresses, and that goes right back to our firefighters being as aggressive as they were and able to protect those other structures that were so close to it, and really contain it mostly to just the warehouse and only having damage to 4 other businesses outside of just this warehouse alone.
And I was actually at one of the businesses, Evansville Garage Doors, today, and the owner actually had some embers on the roof. That was is that something that you've been seeing along Division Street, that you guys have been able to contain it, obviously, because you saved those businesses, but is that something you've been seeing?
So our members or members of their business?
Just basically, have you been seeing like a bunch of embers kind of honestly all over the place given the wind?
I haven't noticed any personally myself. I actually did speak to the gentleman at Evansville Garage Doors, and they did say they did have a few little burn spots on their roof. So they were very, very thankful that our firefighters were over there protecting their businesses like they were early on Monday morning.
And one of those, you mentioned 4 structures that were damaged. Was one of those the Hope Pole for Volunteers of America, do you recall?
That sounds correct. Yeah, yes, Volunteers of America. I believe that's one of the addresses on
East Franklin.
811 East Franklin. I believe that is that business. Yes.
And I know we saw earlier there was a family here that was displaced. Do you know of anybody else that has been displaced that has not found housing, or is that kind of more the Red Cross?
The family that was displaced, I believe that address was 714 East Division Street. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they are back in their home now.
Is the wind the main factor that's keeping this thing going right now, or are there other like new spots for the fire you guys are still discovering?
No, I think I said it one of the other interviews that, you know, part of the construction of the roof on a home is to keep the weather, the rain, and stuff like that out. Well, when that roof collapses into the structure and we're trying to spray water on it, the water can't get to the fire that's underneath of it. So until that fire finally gets hot enough to burn through that roofing material for that water to get to it, it's still going to sit there and smolder and smoke. So and then also the walls collapsing in on top of it causes that same, it covers those hot spots underneath of it, and that's why it's continuing to smolder.
I'm kind of curious. I know that I know when I talked to Evansville garage stores, they were saying that they were actually built around the same time as I believe the warehouse, and they were talking about the wood. Do you know wood roof? Do you know like if the roof and the floors were all wood or?
I'm pretty sure the majority of that building was a heavy timber construction with the floors. And the roof, I'm not sure. I mean, it was probably reconstructed a number of times over the years for 100 years, but I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Do you guys know if you've been able to get in touch with the owners of the warehouse at all?
I don't know that. I don't know.
You got it.
Yeah.
What are some of the unique challenges of dealing with the fire on a building that's over 120 years old, so to speak?
I don't know that there's really anything unique about it. I mean, a fire is a fire. A fire needs a fuel, it needs oxygen, you know, it needs an ignition source to create that fire. So really it's all about the same thing. It's just, you know, this building was very large. So, you know, other than that, the age of the building really doesn't matter.
Anything else you'd like to add?
That's really about it. I think you guys pretty much hit all of it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you
Sorry
for
I
your
was
time,
late.
Mike.